Hi everyone, welcome to this Super Rugby Week 3 Handicap Projections show. As we're going to do every week, trying to get in ahead of the bookmakers and have a look at where we think the prices are going to be. And then when they price up, we hope to find some value. So we're running through all of next week's games during the show. Just a quick word on the show itself. If you want to catch it regularly, make sure you go below this video, hit the subscribe button, and also hit the little bell there. You'll get notified of all of our shows. Of course, our flagship show, The Handicap, every Thursday night at 9 o'clock. Last week, the boys were absolutely on fire once again. In particular, Hendrik Swart. He really had an incredible weekend, and he had some big multiples ending on the Jaguares last night, who duly delivered against the Bulls. Must say it was a game I could only stay up till half-time, and I found it a bit of a boring one. I couldn't force myself much past 12 last night. Ended up going to bed, but I was on the Bulls on Super Brew, so pretty disappointed with the outcome there personally. In fact, it was a tough week for me on Super Brew. I think I got something like 4 out of 7. No one saw the Brumbies one coming, so very few people benefited from that. But yeah, that Stormers fight back to beat the Lions was quite incredible as well. Good news, though, on the betting front, I only really had time to get involved in the Crusaders game because, as usual, I was tied up with children's sports. So a big bet on the Crusaders minus, and although I gave some back on the Six Nations, overall it was a pretty successful weekend. I'm going to be bringing up the live chat now because I do have Dave McAlpine. He's from Australia. He works for a bookmaker over there, and he's going to be joining me with his handicaps this morning. One of the reasons for the early start. As I go through my handicaps, he will share his, and we'll see how much we differ. And more importantly, we'll see what the bookmakers think later on. Just a word, a lot of concerned people after the show coming in about Gavin Cohen, the Oracle Rugby's granny, and the fact that he's got access to her pension money for his bet. Well, it doesn't matter now, does it? Because he won his bet, the Sharks absolutely hammering the Blues down in Durban. And Gavin's money is, Gavin's granny is living large at the moment, I can tell you. And I'm going to go and share my screen on the Good for the Game forum in a second. But first up, there's a picture of Gavin's gran last night, chomping on some lobster. She was pretty happy with her grandson. He delivered with her pension fund money. Let's go across to the Good for the Game forum now, where I've set up a thread, and I'm going to be filling it out as we go along. And this is where we'll be putting our early handicaps. So just popping on to the live chat now. I know Dave and I have already been talking before the show, and we'll see if he's there. Dave, just give me a signal if you are there. Just pop something on there as we go into the first game, Hurricanes against the Brumbies. Hurricanes badly mauled by the Crusaders last week. I think most of us were on the Crusaders. It was certainly a popular choice. But I don't think any of us thought how badly they were going to get beaten. They did score a couple of consolation tries at the end to sort of narrow the deficit. But Hurricanes definitely look out of sort. Of course, Bowden Barrett should be back this week, should be fully recovered from the excerpts of his honeymoon. And they play against a Brumbies side that, well, they were beaten by the Rebels in week 1 and then came out and absolutely hammered the Chiefs at home last week. So very impressive performance out by the Brumbies. And for me, that makes this quite a tough game to handicap. Interested to see what Dave is going to come in on. And in fact, I see he's gone Hurricanes minus 5.5. So I'm going to post his to the right of mine here. Hurricanes minus 14.5. So just to mention to you, Dave is from Australia. He works for a bookmaker in Australia. So this is his bread and butter. He also enjoys his punting. So Hurricanes minus 14.5. Let me look at my notes. Quite interesting here. 4-point differential. I thought Hurricanes minus 10.5 would be the line. So I've gone 10.5. Dave's gone 14.5 there. Dave making the point that he's not sure if Pocock's back. And, yeah, Pocock, obviously a big factor for the Brumbies to see if he's back. But I didn't actually get to see the Brumbies-Chiefs game this week other than the last 10 or 15 minutes. But, yeah, super impressive from the Brumbies. But whether they can reproduce that form on the road in New Zealand is another thing. And I'm expecting some sort of a backlash from the Hurricanes. But there's a 4-point differential, and it's going to be interesting to see where the bookmakers come out there. Let's have a look at the next game then. Rebels up against the Highlanders. The Rebels coming off a week off. They play the Highlanders, who were pushed quite hard by the Reds last week. It wasn't a game I was also unfortunately able to watch, but I mean, there was a big handicap there, and the plus backers were never really in doubt. Rebels, well, they beat the Brumbies in week 1, and Hendrik Swart making the point, I think on Twitter on the weekend, that you can't read rugby form lines like you read horse racing form lines. But still, it does make you think if they could beat the Brumbies, there may be something to the side, the way the Brumbies came out and beat the Chiefs. So I'm going Rebels plus 9.5 here, and I think we're going to have quite a difference of opinion because I'm just glancing down at my phone. I see Dave has gone Rebels plus 3.5, and he does make the comment that this is a really hard game to handicap. So I suspect that the bookmakers may come up somewhere in between us there. He's giving a bit of team news there on the live chat as well. So if you are watching this afterwards, you can go and have a look at that. We didn't really put the show live to get a lot of South African people on this morning because we knew it was a little bit early on a Sunday morning. But of course, you should have a good 4 to 5 hours before the bookmakers price up, and you can watch it on Sunday morning in your own time. Let's go on to the Chiefs game now, and I've got these are always hard games. Chiefs v Sunwolves, they're hard to handicap. You know, how big a handicap do you go? Chiefs coming back off back-to-back defeats, the last of which was very disappointing. They're going to be looking to bounce back against the Sunwolves side that, if I recall correctly, quite often beats the handicap in New Zealand. They were also fairly impressive last week, nearly beating the Waratahs after they had a very disappointing opening week. So where does the handicap go on this one? Well, Dave is going Chiefs minus 28.5. And I'm not far off. I hovered around the 30-point mark, and I eventually decided I've actually got it scribbled out minus 32.5 Chiefs. So Chiefs are obviously going to start big favorites. These are very dangerous handicaps. And Dave just mentioned he could well see the line being 33 to 36-ish. But one thing, as I say, about the Sunwolves is they have a sneaky habit of beating these big handicaps in New Zealand. So we'll have to watch out for them there. The Reds up against the Crusaders. The Reds came out, made their first appearance on the week. They came very close to winning the match. They did beat the handicap comfortably, and as a reward, well, they go back home, and now they've got another New Zealand side coming to play them, the Crusaders. Well, the Crusaders, I had a quick look before the show. There's no outright betting yet. They were 2-1 going into last week. I'll be surprised if you get anything better than 15-10 about the Crusaders now. They looked absolutely brilliant in destroying the Hurricanes. And they're 2 from 2, both against New Zealand opposition to start off. They now go to Brisbane. And in this game, let's have a look what Dave has gone. Dave has gone the Reds plus 16.5. I'm going to pop that in on the Good for the Game forum. Just to mention to you, this Good for the Game forum thread starts, but it runs all the way through the week as the bookies come out with lines, punters discuss them. If anyone likes anything, they mention it. It also covers the Six Nations, which, of course, still has to finish this afternoon for the weekend with Italy against Ireland. But we cover basically any rugby here. But the focus, of course, Super Rugby and Six Nations. I assume there is Six Nations action next weekend. So we'll have those handicaps up as well after the Ireland v Italy game. So Reds v Crusaders, he's gone plus 16.5. Just glancing down at my notes, plus 14.5. Just to mention, I don't spend too much time doing these handicaps. I don't go look at past records and that. It's very much a gut feel, because I like to measure my gut feel against what the bookmakers are thinking early doors. Right, Dave is just asking some interesting points around team selection as to who might be there. That's always, of course, crucial for Super Rugby to see the teams. But, of course, the bookmakers do price up early in the week, so they don't have any advantage on us in that area. Let's go on, Dave, to the Lions game. We've got you've gone Lions against the Bulls. You've gone Lions minus 7.5. So let's chalk that one in there. The Lions, well, they were disappointing to get beaten by the Stormers. They didn't look the same side when Warren Whiteley went off. Dave, I'm not sure if you watched that game, but Lions were cruising against the Stormers. And, all of a sudden, almost looked like they went to sleep, and the Stormers came back and scored their first Super Rugby try of the season in the 86th minute. And it was enough to clinch the match. But very disappointing for the Lions. And the general consensus from the boys on Good for the Game is that both teams are going to actually struggle this season. And the Lions will need to bounce back against the Bulls. The Bulls beaten by the Jaguares last night, very disappointingly. I've gone minus 5.5 Lions here, so not a big difference between Dave and myself on this one. Let's move on to the Sharks against the Stormers. Dave just confirming that he didn't watch the game, but he is going to have a look at a replay. And I've noticed quite a few punters like to watch the games again so that they can sort of perhaps get a clearer perspective on it when they don't have any money riding on it at that particular time. Dave looking to oppose the Lions this year as well. You will be able to track all his comments in the live chat. Right, Sharks against the Stormers. The Sharks very impressive at home to the Blues after beating the handicap comfortably away at the Sunwolves in week 1. They face a Stormers side that were hammered at Loftus but bounced back to beat the Lions at Newlands. The Stormers are definitely a side that plays a lot better at home. They do battle a bit with their travels, and I'm going Sharks minus 8.5 in this game. And I'm crossing over to Dave, and he says he's going Sharks -5.5. So a little bit of a difference there. I don't think we're going to be too far out with how the bookmakers price this game. The Jaguares against the Blues. Well, the Jaguares disappointing in week 1 against the Lions, but I know plenty of punters who were on them last night against the Bulls. I fortunately didn't get involved in the betting. I unfortunately stayed with the Bulls on Super Brew, so they cost me there. We got the Jaguares against the Blues, and if I'll go across to Dave, he's going a -6.5 Jaguares against the Blues. The Blues were very disappointing against the Sharks. I didn't get to see all of the game, but for a team of that quality to only score so few points is really disappointing. I do have a sneak that we're going to see a better Blues performance this week, and I'm going on the handicap -3.5. I don't think the bookmakers are going to read too much into that Jaguares performance, so 3.5 points is the line where I'm going there. Dave just mentioned he wishes he could have grabbed the +8.5 Jaguares last week. In fact, Dave, I saw one of the guys, I think on the handicap show, mentioning he got +10.5 Jaguares early in the week. So we'll see. I must say, I misread that game last night totally. When I priced up, I went Bulls -7.5. And I think Brendan, who was on the live chat with me last week, went something like +8.5. So both of us getting that wrong. Well, I must tell you that I know Brendan backed the Jaguares, so he did an about turn in the week. But thanks everyone for watching, and Dave, thanks for joining me. I know it's Sunday evening there, your time, so enjoy your evening with your family as you get ready for a big punting weekend. I'll just pop over and just show you quickly. I see GG Gaming have got their templates out for the game. The handicap prices aren't up. They were first out last week, so we'll keep an eye on that and see. And I'm sure someone will post on the Good for the Game forum as soon as the betting is up. You can log on to goodforthegame.co.za and just hit the forum in the top menu, and you'll see those comments. Register on our forum, and you can also contribute as well. That brings us to the end of this show. Thanks very much for watching. It's going to be another big weekend of rugby. Can't wait. In the meantime, I'm off to watch a little bit of water polo. If you enjoyed the show, if you like your rugby betting, make sure you subscribe at the bottom of this channel, and you won't miss any of our shows going forward. Thursday night, the handicap at 9 o'clock. I can't wait. We'll also have GG Gaming Gone Mad half an hour before that at 8:30. Thanks, everyone, and special thanks to Dave in Australia for sharing his views. Let's see if the bookies agree.